Item: SCP-612. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures: all specimens of SCP-612 are to be kept in containment cell and site, attached to sockets appropriate to their form. The walls, floor, and ceiling of the chamber will be checked for physical breach every 15 minutes. An electric meter, installed outside the cell, will remain connected to a remote monitor. Any significant power flux is to be logged and reported immediately to Doctor, as well as on-site maintenance personnel. Testing indicates that a 1 m solution of aqueous sodium chloride stuns SCP-612, rendering it temporarily inert. Therefore, a delivery system is to remain charged and ready for immediate use. Weekly testing is mandatory. The walls of the containment cell are to be lined with conductive metallic mesh, permanently connected to ground, and the cell's exit is to be charged with a potential exceeding 1 kV. All power to the cell is to be generated locally to prevent SCP-612 from accessing the primary grid. As SCP-612's containment is not yet complete, all personnel are advised to keep alert for any cable which exhibits unusual activity, including but not limited to unexplained power flux, unstimulated movement, and data expunged. 07/09. All personnel assigned to SCP-612 must wear Faraday suits capable of discharging an electric potential in excess of 2 kV. Description: instances of SCP-612 present as electrical cables of various types. Any variety of cable can potentially play host to SCP-612, but its preferred method of attack leads it to favor power and network cables. SCP-612 is, in its dormant state, simply piled on the ground. It prefers to hide in dark, warm places, or to be attached to appropriate sockets. Apart from its sentience and capability for movement, it displays a slightly higher specific electrical resistance than ordinary cables of its type. Current measurements indicate a % higher ohm reading. Analysis of a neutralized instance of SCP-612 reveals the materials to be virtually identical in composition to regular cables of that type save for trace amounts of gold spread throughout the cable, other shape memory alloy constituents and further traces of yet unidentified elements. The impurities are arranged regularly, in a microcrystalline structure. SCP-612 will not attack unless it is provoked. However, SCP-612 interprets any attempt to move it harshly to be provocation, regardless of intent. If such a movement detaches SCP-612 from its socket, should it be attached to one, SCP-612 becomes rigid, swaying in the air before lunging at its attacker, suffocating it in the manner of a constrictor. After its attack, SCP-612 will return to its socket. Should SCP-612 remain connected, even partially, to a power source, its tactic will change, using electricity as a means of warding off or stunning the attacker. Network cables hosting SCP-612 have a much different result. See Incident Report 612-1. Testing shows that, even when connected to a standard US power socket, SCP-612 is capable of unleashing a charge in excess of kV. It is currently unknown how SCP-612 accomplishes this, but preliminary research suggests it is related to its unusual internal structure, specifically, data expunged, thus storing charge. Current models predict that SCP-612 is directly responsible for roughly % of domestic incidents involving electricity.